Hi, this is Bruce, and today we're going to talk about importing log files and some of the options that are available to you when you do that. So I have a workspace opened. We're just going to call this one Quick Start. And I have a set of log files, and you can see from this, this is actually collected into two different log data collection sessions. So I have also 9 devices plugged into my LML when I collected the log files to begin with. So I have channels 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then I have a scanner for number 9. So there's a lot of data here. Now, the first thing you'll notice is that this one, I'll expand this one out just a little bit. This one's got a little green around it. That means, and it actually has a 0 under imported, which actually means that it has already been imported. So a database has been generated from this log file. Once a database has been created, it's easier or faster to open because you don't have to import the data again. But it does mean that the database is static, it's fixed. So if there are any changes to the import in new versions of LMA, you'll want to potentially re-import the data. So what you'll do is you right-click. If you want to get rid of the database, just right-click on top of it, and you'll say clear this measure. This one says delete the folder manual. That's okay. So now it's gone away. So what that means is when I hit the import and open option down here, it's going to re-import the data and create a new database for me. These two log files, these were two channel 1 log files, this one and this one. If I want to import them as separate log files, then you would have to analyze them as two different log files. But there's an option here that has, you can merge them as a single measure. And I'll show you what that looks like here. So when I import them, it's going to ask me for the name, so we'll just call this one a test merge. And it's going to put the two log files together and merge them, and I'll show you here in a second. I'll pause while it imports. This merged file has now been added to our workspace. For comparison, let's go back and we're going to add the two files as individuals and show you what that looks like. So those are going to go get merged. With the individual log files now imported into our workspace, if I go grab a particular parameter, let's take a look at RSRP and look at it from a time graph view. What we can see is raw data from the individual files, and then the two files merged together up here. So the merged data is time aligned for the two. Let's go back. So I'm going to right click. When you right click within this space, you have you can see the checkboxes here. So that those checkboxes are what determine what data is brought into different views. You can click here and say uncheck all. That'll take them all. And then if you want to close them all, because that's the next set I was going to do, we'll close all the log files here. Close that one too. And this time when I add the log files, you'll see that there's a green next to those, which means that the log file has been imported into a database. But there's some automation that can happen too, and we'll talk about automation. But first, let me hit some of the import options. So these are, as the log files are getting imported, ways that you can structure the parameters. So for example, if you want to adjust the timestamp, sometimes with Qualcomm log files you get some jumping in the timestamp and from the raw Qualcomm messages, and this will let you do that there. You also have the option to select, maybe you just want to import specific values. So maybe if I only want to have a database that has RSRP in it, it would import really fast. Maybe that's your intention. so I'll turn that one off for now. You can set the sampling rate. Right now the default is set to 1 second, so every second it will import a single data point into the database based on the previous 1 second in the log file. You do have the option to set it to all. This is not recommended unless you've got a very small log file, because the Qualcomm messages are quite huge. So 1 second is what I would recommend under most cases. When you build the database, a lot of times when I'm doing VoLTE work, I want to really look at the TCP/IP analysis, so I'll have that one checked. For this next demonstration, I'll have that unchecked so that the database is a little smaller and might import a little faster for us. And you can also do TTI level analysis from the raw Qualcomm messages directly. So I'll say hit OK at that point. And here's the automation I wanted to say. The first is you can select specific channels, and if you've got a directory that's full of log files and you just want to import all the channel 1s and channel 2s, it will do that automatically for us. I'll go ahead and uncheck those for now. And what I want to do here is I want to merge and import each channel. So that's going to take each of the channel 1s, merge and import each channel 2, merge and import, and it's going to do that for all the log files that are in this folder. So if I hit that one, off it goes, and I'll pause while it finishes. Now that the log files have been imported, let's take a look at what it looks like. I'm going to go ahead and drag these down. There. And so we have channel 1 to all the channels loaded. They've been merged. And if we go into the space again, we can see that these merged files have been given their own database. And the own database has a green next to them, which means that the database exists for them. So now that they're loaded, what we'd be able to do is, let's take RSRP for example. If we create time graphs of it, we'll get each channel as its own time graph here. So channel 1 at the top, 2, 3, 4, all the way down. So that gives you an idea of how to import single files, and then also some of the merge options and how to manipulate log files. And once they're imported as measures, then how to compare and look at them.